Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that is absolutely critical for your business's resilience. But, it's one that gets overlooked way too often. GDPR compliance for cloud backups. We've gone ahead and taken all those dense, extensive legal guides and basically distilled all that complex regulatory speak into a streamlined, easy-to-understand framework. So let's just dive right in.
I want you to honestly ask yourself right now, are your backups hiding a massive GDPR violation? I know, it's a pretty scary thought, right? There's this widespread and frankly incredibly dangerous misconception out there that backup systems are somehow legally invisible. People think that just because data is stored away just in case, it gets a free pass from strict privacy laws. But as you're going to see today, literally nothing could be further from the truth.
Think of your backup data like a perfect mirror of your primary data. Because under the law, regulators do not care if data is actively being used by your sales team today, or if it's just sitting compressed on some backup server in the cloud. They treat both primary, live data and your secondary backup data exactly the same. Meaning, if a backup is breached, leaked, or mishandled in any way, your company faces the exact same legal fallout as it would for a live system breach.
And the stakes here? They are massive. Actually, they're terrifying. If you get this wrong, GDPR allows regulators to issue fines of up to 4% of a company's global annual revenue, or 20 million euros, whichever is higher. So we are definitely not talking about a simple slap on the wrist here. We're talking about existential threats to a business. Compliance isn't just some IT checkbox, it's a fundamental business necessity. But hey, take a breath, don't panic. We're going to break this all down into super manageable pieces. Here's our game plan for today. We'll hit the backup compliance myth, look at the core GDP principles, move on to security and vendor diligence, talk about dealing with data breaches, and wrap it all up with your step-by-step strategy.
All right, Section 1, the backup compliance myth. So the legal definition of personal data is just incredibly broad. It's not just your standard list of names and credit card numbers. We're talking email addresses, behavioral data, IP addresses, and crucially, even pseudonymized data, like a randomized user ID. Basically, if it can be linked back to a real person, it counts. So what does that actually mean for your backups? Well, it means that almost every single backup file that touches customer or employee records is legally in scope. You really can't just assume your backups are completely clean of personal data.
Moving right along to Section 2, Core GDPR Principles. These core principles really shouldn't just be viewed as strict legal rules, but honestly as vital risk reduction strategies for your entire business. Let's take through them quickly. First, lawfulness and transparency. You have to have a legal basis to back this data up, and your users need to actually know you're doing it. Purpose limitation. You can only use backups for recovery, no dipping into them to run marketing analytics. Data minimization. Only back up what you truly absolutely need. Storage limitation. Don't just keep backups indefinitely. Set up automated deletion schedules. Integrity and confidentiality, keep it secure. And finally, accountability. You have to be able to prove to auditors that you're actually doing all of this. Now for Section 3, Security and Vendor Diligence. Now, a really crucial point for your technical security is implementing what's called immutable backups. GDPR demands appropriate technical measures to ensure data integrity. And an immutable backup, that's data that absolutely cannot be changed, encrypted, or deleted by anyone, literally not even an admin, for a set period of time. The reason this matters is simple. It's your ultimate shield against ransomware. If hackers get into your system, they physically can't encrypt your backups to extort you. Plus, it seamlessly satisfies GDPR's really strict integrity requirements. It's a total game changer. But look, technical security isn't enough on its own. You need legal security too, and that is exactly where the Data Processing Agreement, or DPA, comes in. If you're using a cloud provider for your backups, this is a mandatory legal contract. It lays out exactly how the provider handles your personal data, what security measures they are legally committing to, and their specific timelines for notifying you if a breach happens. Simply put, you cannot claim you're GDPR compliant without a rock-solid DPA in place with your vendor. No way. And evaluating those vendors requires a pretty precise checklist, because picking a cloud backup provider is a legal decision now, not just an IT one. First, verify their security certifications like ISO 27001 or SOC 2. Second, check their data center locations. Under GDPR, storing data within the EU is definitely the easiest route. But if it's outside the EU, you absolutely must verify legal safeguards like standard contractual clauses. And third, dig into their sub-processor chains. Does your vendor use a third party for storage? You need full visibility into that. Because if their third party mishandles the data, guess what? You are still on the hook. Oh, and while we're on the topic of robust vendor and IT architecture, we have to mention the absolute golden standard, the 3-2-1 backup rule. This means keeping 3 copies of your data on 2 different media types with one stored off-site, like in a compliant cloud. This simple rule prevents a single point of failure. If a localized disaster or some nasty ransomware strain wipes your primary servers and your local backups, having that off-site cloud copy ensures you can still recover. And it proves to regulators that you take data availability very seriously. All right, let's shift to Section 4, dealing with data breaches. If you take away literally just one number from this entire explainer, let it be this one, 72. GDPR mandates a very strict 72-hour window to report specific data breaches to supervisory authorities right after you discover them. And yes, for sure, this applies to your backup systems just as much as your live production systems. That clock starts ticking immediately, which means you absolutely do not have time to figure out a game plan after the breach has already happened. So to actually hit that 72-hour deadline, having an incident response plan is effectively demanded by law, and it has a few non-negotiable parts. You need clear roles, like who's calling the lawyers, who is isolating the servers. You need established detection and containment procedures. You absolutely must have pre-written communication templates ready to go, so you aren't trying to draft complex legal notices during an active crisis. And finally, you have to have a post-incident review process to learn from what went wrong so you can continuously improve. Now, following a breach or a disaster, your recovery is really going to rely on 2 key metrics that you have to define beforehand. RTO, or Recovery Time Objective, is all about speed, how fast you must restore operations. RPO, or Recovery Point Objective, is about data loss, how much data loss is legally and practically acceptable between your last backup and the crash. Balancing these 2 metrics is what ensures you maintain business continuity while staying fully aligned with regulatory expectations.
And finally, Section 5, your step-by-step strategy.
Okay, this is your actionable blueprint. Let's walk through it together. Step 1, audit and classify your data. Look, you can't protect what you don't know you have, right? So figure out exactly what personal data is flowing into your backups. Step 2, choose a compliant cloud vendor who actually offers EU data residency and signs a strong DPA. Step 3, define clear retention policies. Automate that deletion so you aren't accidentally keeping backups until the end of time. Step 4, implement strong security controls like encryption and those awesome immutable backups we just discussed. And Step 5, train your team and document every single decision to prove your accountability during an audit. As we wrap up, I really want you to remember this. Cloud backup compliance isn't just about avoiding fines. It's about respecting the people whose data you hold and building trust. And honestly, that's the ultimate takeaway here. Yes, avoiding a massive 4% global revenue fine is great, but when you treat compliance as a proactive investment rather than just an annoying chore, it actually transforms into a competitive advantage. When your customers know you protect their historical data just as fiercely as their live data, you build real, unwavering trust. So I want to leave you with this final kind of provocative thought. I want you to look at your own system as soon as this explainer ends and ask yourself, if your backup system was breached today, right now, are you ready for the fallout? Do you have that DPA, the immutable storage, the 72-hour incident response plan? If not, well, you now have the exact blueprint you need to go fix it. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I highly encourage you to take that first step and audit your data right now.